Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Michael Potter with the county extension agent here for horticulture with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. And today we have with us Bob Daly.
Hi, Mike.
How are you doing today?
We're great. How about you?
Well, staying warm for the moment.
That's right.
So we're gonna have a good show for you today. We're kind of going to take a little bit of a holiday theme in a sense about things to do in the garden and winter chores. All kinds of activities that are going on and plants and all kinds of good little bit of information for you. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started for the day and talk a little bit about what some winter gardening activities.
I was looking at winter chores, Mike, and they keep adding up. I don't like the cold weather, but I get out in the cold and I just realize how much I really have to do in the wintertime. So there's all kinds of stuff out there. Yeah,
a lot of people think, once it gets cold, you just stop the gardening. There's all kinds of little things you can do to prep for next season, prep for the winter, especially, with like some of your fruit trees. And I've been writing lots of little columns about, chores to do. Unfortunately, the Conroe Courier stops the garden columns right about the beginning of December. And so there's still... I try to write and say, this is something to look forward to or something that needs to be done here in the near future.
Sure.
So,
well, one of the things that I noticed that, I just planted my lettuce and my cabbages, and I was afraid maybe it was a little too late, but it's been so warm. Now we got colder weather. I think there's some really good opportunities there if people have a winter garden.
Yeah, in fact, we've got, our beds up at the extension office, and they look absolutely fabulous. They actually did some decorative plantings with lettuce where they planted different, tones and colors.
Oh, nice.
And then a very dark red one in a squiggly line in between everything.
Oh, I got to go. I got to see that.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. I was kind of enjoying that yesterday, looking out the window with the wind blowing 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. well, so if people come to the plant sale in January, they can actually see that, right? They can go out and see those gardens, can't they?
Yeah, they'll have the ability to go out there and kind of look and see what's going on. And what we're talking about, January 28th, there will be a fruit and nut plant sale. We'll have lots of peaches and pears and different kinds of fruit and nut trees, pecans. We'll have raspberries as well, some raspberries that do well here. Grapes and all kinds of things for everybody. And we'll have that plant sale January 28th, and then 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. There's a 1-hour presentation about some of the plants and some educational purpose to that. And then from 9 to noon will be the actual plant sale.
Mike, I saw that we're selling apple trees this year. I always thought that apple trees didn't do well here, but obviously I'm wrong.
Yeah, there's the funny thing is that a lot of people. In fact, I had somebody from California not too long ago say they were moving to Montgomery County and wanted to know what kind of fruit trees they could grow, and they do have fruit trees that are available for different chill hours, and so chill hours is below about 45 degrees. Of course, our winter here is a lot different than what California is. So some of the varieties in California do not basically do the same thing here. We kind of have a little bit of a roller coaster. So production changes and plants can do some weird things. When it's time to be no leaves and be dormant, sometimes they all of a sudden throw out leaves and blooms and do all kinds of weird stuff because of our weather. But they have chill hour requirements that they basically go dormant for a period of time. And then when temperatures reach above that 45 degrees and start getting a little warmer, then trees kick in and start producing. And so we have varieties of peaches that are for our area, apples, pears, and those are really, it's really interesting just to kind of watch and see. But there's several different types of apples that work well here.
Now, A&M is working with some of those varieties.
On the peaches, they have an actual breeding program that they're doing. We have a big specialist that's a peach specialist. And so there's a whole bunch of new A&M released type peaches out there, Tex Star and Tex Prince, and there's a whole bunch of different ones. There's some that actually look like a donut.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they look like a donut.
Do they taste like a donut?
No, I don't know about that. No, they're kind of a white flesh, and Yeah, they don't taste like a donut. They do taste like a peach, but they're real flat, which is kind of neat.
And at January, we're going to have a lot of citrus trees for sale as well, and
yes.
That's a good time to plant citrus, right?
Yes, in fact, it is. And sometimes on some of the more tender citrus, we tell people to hold on to them, wait till the spring, wait till late March or mid March or something like that, because you don't really want them to get damaged by the cold right up front. But yeah, it's a good time to do that. We'll have Owari Satsuma, which the Satsumas are absolutely fabulous. And I got a little quick story. My kids, my wife bought some of the little, the regular bag.
Little cuties.
Little cuties or whatever, bought a bag of those and brought them home. And we had somebody give us some Satsumas from their tree. And I took a bag of them home, about 10 or 15 of them. And my daughter was kind of starting to peel them, the ones that my wife bought. And she was just really having a hard time. I said, honey, why don't you eat one of these over here? And I went, whoop, whoop, whoop. And with about 3 seconds, I had it peeled. And she says, and she put it back. And I was like, no, well, you got to finish that one, but you can have the rest of them. So we kind of played a little joke on my son with that one.
Oh,
so.
Great. Yeah. I remember sitting under the Satsuma tree when I was a kid, just pulling the Satsumas off and eating them right there.
Yeah, and they're great. They do peel a little bit easier. We have those. We'll have Moro blood oranges, which are red in the center, which are really neat, and they're good as well. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Oh, Kishu seedless mandarins. We'll have those, and we got one of those at the office.
Yeah. And what about Meyer lemons? Everywhere I go, I'm seeing
Meyer
lemons.
Yes, we'll have Meyer lemons. I just wrote about actually 3 articles that are be released from our Master Gardener website about the citrus.
Oh, great.
I kind of did them, and I broke them up in a 3-part series, kind of, selection, kind of what we were going to have, and then also the second one being, let's see, selection, and God, I'm having a hard time remembering here about it. But the last one was pruning, but the second one was talking about, how to plant them and as far as initial care.
Right.
And properly planting them. So,
on that website, on the Master Gardener website, there's all kinds of great articles on that you've written and some of the other Master Gardeners.
Yes.
And
some that you've written.
Some that I've written, yeah. If people could go to mcmga.com, and it's full of interesting stuff there. It's a great place to go.
That's correct. And, that's a large, a lot of people go say, well, where do I go for that information? And to get that stuff. And, Aggie Horticulture is a good website.
It's a great website.
It's very general. And that's why we do our own individual websites to try to get information for our area.
Right.
So going to that mcmga.com is a good source of information there.
Well, and the other thing is, I went to Texas A&M horticulture site. They have a great site where you can put in it's the Earthkind. Earthkind site, and you can put in your area and tell what kind of quality, what plants you want, when they're going to mature, when they're going to flower, all that stuff, and put it in there, and it'll pull up a list. I pulled up a list of 16 pages of all kinds of stuff, and stuff you can plant now.
Yes. Yeah, Earthkind Plant Selector. It's kind of a neat deal. You basically, I think in one part of it, you can actually put in your zip code.
Your zip code,
yeah. And it'll pull up a list, and you can narrow it down kind of based on descriptions. If you only, my wife doesn't like pink flowers, so I have to go through there and select reds and whites and other things, and she doesn't like those mauve type colors or something like that. So I can generate a list based on the requirements that I feel that they need. And there's a lot of good stuff, Earthkind landscaping, landscaping to reduce energy or energy usage in your home.
Right.
Things like that. So there's a lot of good information.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. I was also looking at the Texas horticulture, A&M horticulture site, and you can actually put in your zip code or your area, and you can pull up a list of vegetable varieties that do well in Montgomery County.
Yes, sir.
I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, that's pretty neat to have that. So, yeah, you can go in there and figure out, what, in fact, that combined with our vegetable planting guide, you can find out when to plant them.
Right.
When's the best time, whether they be transplants or whether they be from direct seed.
And that planting guide is right on the MCMGA website. You can print off a copy of it. I have one sitting in front of me right here.
Yep. And if you need additional information from what kind of varieties and everything, you just call the extension office, speak with our master gardeners that are in the phone room at that 936-539-7824, and our master gardeners will help you and kind of guide you in the right process.
And those master gardeners are there all day, Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
On holidays.
Yeah, and over 3,400 hours for the year on that. That's how many hours that master gardeners spend in our phone room.
Wow.
Yes.
And then you were saying something else about how many hours that master gardeners?
Over 44,000 hours.
Wow. And what's that equivalent to?
They say the volunteer rate is about $23.56, which I need to get a job change. I think I need to change my staff. But it was over $1 million worth.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Just in Montgomery County. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back pretty quick, and we'll talk more about winter gardening activities.
You are listening to the Extension Hour on irlonestar.com.
You're going to need me.
You're going to need us.
All of us.
You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food.
You're going to need our determination, our compassion.
You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring.
And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Today, 4-H is growing the next generation of leaders.
SPCA PetSnap of Montgomery County is a 501c3 all-volunteer-based rescue and adoption organization with a no-kill policy for healthy and adoptable animals. Our goals are fourfold: to rescue and rehabilitate homeless animals, to provide a safe haven for the animals until a suitable adoption or foster care home is found or until they are reunited with their owner, to educate the public about the great need to reduce pet population, which includes the importance of having their pets spayed and neutered, and to further the cause for humane and responsible pet ownership, and to provide a low-cost spay-neuter clinic for people who are unable to afford to spay or neuter their pets otherwise. SPCA PetSnap of Montgomery County encourages you to think adoption first. You can contact us at www.spcaofmc.com.
Hi, this is BJ Orner from Montgomery County Performing Arts Society. I'm here to remind you to get your tickets now for all the upcoming events that McPass has to offer. All shows will be held at the beautiful Crichton Theater in downtown Conroe. Call 936-441-7469 for your tickets today, or go to our website, www.macpass.org, for more information. Hope to see you at the show.
You're listening to the Extension Hour with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. Visit us online at montgomery.agrilife.org.
Welcome back. You've reached the Extension Hour. Hopefully we're getting to your ears. How you doing today, Bob?
I'm fine, Mike. How are you?
I'm wonderful. This is always a good time of year, always fun. It seems to, a lot of people say that, well, gardening's over with. The plants are losing their leaves, but it only begins.
Right. Somebody asked me the other day, when we have a freeze or something and perennials kind of lose their leaves and everything, that they should trim them back right now. And is that a good idea?
Yeah, actually not. Okay. Yeah. Think about this, is that and for those people out there that think, now's a great time to do it, be careful, because what can happen is if let's say you trim it down to 4 inches, okay, right, and it was 12 inches to begin with. Now you've just made that 4 inches of plant material more susceptible to freezing back even further.
Okay.
So, there's ways to combat that. If you have mulch and everything, you can pile mulch around the stems and everything.
Sure.
The problem with that is that you don't want them to get too moist.
Right, and that mulch will hold the moisture in, yeah.
So you got to be careful with that. It's just to protect it really during really harsh freezes. You can do the same thing with citrus, actually.
Really?
Yeah, there was actually some photos. They had taken like a mulch material and put it like 3 feet up the plant. up the tree.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Just to protect it from, and have some insulation and heat, so it wouldn't, kill the whole tree.
My dad used to spray the citrus trees with just water.
Water. Yeah, it acts as an insulator. In fact, in Florida, they turn on sprinklers before big freezes, and it basically creates an insulation around the fruit and everything else. And in fact, that's some of the questions lately. People, it's going to freeze. Should I pick everything off now?
Right.
No, not. And luckily, I told my wife, I said, I'm not going to be a newscaster, but I'm going to say it's not going to freeze today.
Right.
And she's like, oh yeah, stick to what you know.
Yeah. Right.
But with the cloud cover and everything else, now if we stay, clear sky like tonight, we may have the chance of dropping down and getting a little bit of light freeze. Right. But it's only for a couple of hours. It's nothing, major or severe.
I didn't think we'd have one last night either, and we didn't, obviously. Maybe some parts of the county did, but
right, further out.
What about planting spring flowering bulbs? Is this a good time to plant them?
Yes, actually it is. It's a great time to do it. And just remember that those, a lot of those bulbs, like tulips and things like that, they're a one-time deal. They're an annual. You can dig them back up, and some of them you can save them till the next year, but you have to basically send them back into dormancy to do that.
Right.
Most people just plant them as an annual.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What about things like amaryllis? I know we used to get, people still give us amaryllis plants, bulbs for Christmas.
Yep.
And then I've just taken them and stuck them in the backyard, and they've always done well.
Pop back up. Yeah,
they pop back up.
Yeah, some of them can stay in the ground, but then, like your specialties like tulips and some of those, you got to be careful with those.
What about soil tests?
Oh, great time to do it.
Yeah.
It's you're fixing to go into a growing season.
Right.
We're kind of in a dormancy mode. You've grown all year long. Right. And so all that nutrient is either expelled all the way. Of course, I like to kind of say it's been like a washout.
Yeah, that's it.
Because as much rain and everything as we had this year. So, right. Now's a great time to do a soil test. You don't have to worry about about doing anything about it right now.
Right.
But it'll at least give you a baseline and an indicator of where you need to go with your fertilization program at home. If you have specialty plants that are acid-loving plants that need a little bit of added fertilizer,
Sure.
Or some kind of acid-loving fertilizer. So it would be a great time to do that.
Now, if people wanted to do a soil test, they can go over to Extension, right, and pick up a little bag and the form.
That's right.
Or they can go. I think I saw it on Texas A&M horticulture.
That's right.
Site. They could go there and print it out.
We have the soils lab up in College Station. That's where everybody sends their samples to.
Right.
And they, on their website, there's a little area down there that says forms, and you just go click on that form. You can download it, and it'll tell you about how much, to put in a bag.
Right.
We've kind of looked at it and measured it a little bit, and it's about a full quart bag, pretty good full quart bag of soil that needs to go up to the lab. So they'll run an analysis with it, and a week or two they'll send you results back, and that's a great time.
Real cheap too. I mean, it's
$10.
$10. I mean, you can't beat that.
No, you can't beat that. And it's the website. I think it's soiltesting.tamu.edu, tamu.edu, and that's the soils lab. But like you said, they can come by the office, pick up a bag, and we have the forms, and they can just take those tests and do that.
Right. I'll get my soil tested every year. I mean, I just, or every 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it's important. Tools. What about tools this
time
of year?
Great time to sharpen tools, get them cleaned up, get them ready for this next year. Even mowers. A lot of people, grass isn't growing, so it just sits.
Yeah, that's right.
Drain it, or if it has a shut-off valve, shut that fuel off. And put some type of product in that preserves it. I use some in my boat, and I use some in my lawn equipment and everything else. For the most time, being in South Texas, though, you sometimes you don't have to.
Right, that's right.
You run it year round.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you run it year round, but you can definitely clean up your tools, oil them up.
What's a good oil to use?
Just plain WD-40 or something like that. We have a master gardener that has done with our group. Bill Boyd over
Bill Boyd. I tried to get to that thing, and I couldn't get there, but I understand it was really good. His presentation.
Oh, yes. He does a great job, and it's a very thorough. I mean, it's cleaning them, and basically they look brand new.
Now, he even showed how to do Felco pruners, didn't he?
Yes. Takes them all apart, everything.
That is amazing.
It is an amazing deal. We're hoping to take that and do that for the public.
Oh, that would be
We'll have to
great.
limit class size on those,
Sure.
but we're looking at doing that. It's something that's very valuable, and a lot of people don't understand, why do I have to clean my trimmers?
Sure.
Well, there's a lot of things that can be spread from one plant to another. A lot of diseases. There's some stuff that affects peaches that can be taken to the next peach.
Roses too, right?
Roses too. Yes. Yeah. So you got to be real careful sometimes, and just dipping them in some Clorox solution or something like that will help. But yeah, it's cleaning them, getting them sharpened up. There's nothing like a good clean cut.
That's right. I agree with you.
My dad always used to tell me when I was a kid, he said, I'd rather be cut by a sharp knife than a dull knife.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure the plants feel the same way. I have a pair of Falcos, and they're expensive. They're $50 a pruner. I like to keep it in good shape.
Exactly.
So, yeah. What about any other cool season perennials that you think might be that I'd like to maybe plant?
What about well, what kind of stuff you think?
Well, I don't know. Roses, maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, you can still plant, your trees and shrubs and stuff like that, and get away with it.
Right.
You just have to make sure that if we do drop into that deep freeze situation, cover them up. Just kind of protect them a little bit. Don't let them get too exposed to that. But yeah, you can do just about any of that type of those plants. There's grasses. You kind of we're going into dormancy mode with grasses.
Right.
I've seen people plant dead grass.
I believe that. Yeah.
Ornamental dead grass.
Ornamental grass. Yeah. Gulf muley out there.
Yeah. They'll go and stick it in the ground, and the next thing you know, in the spring, it just pops right up, and it always amazes me. But it can work too.
I have been reading a lot of books and looking at a lot of sites. For me, and gardening in the wintertime too, if I don't have anything to do, if it's way too cold or rainy, I love to look at seed catalogs or read some books. And there's some great books out there.
Yeah, there's some good ones. In fact, we've got Tom Leroy, who used to be with us, has a couple of books that he's got out. And then we had Dr. Doug Welsh from College Station that has a great little book that's almost like a calendar. It's
I love
month
that
by
book.
month.
I use that book all the time, yeah.
Every now and then when I'm getting kind of short on info for my news columns, I pull that thing out and I say, is there anything in here that I can use, to kind of refresh in my mind or something?
I keep it on the shelf behind my desk. Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of good things out there. And, my mom finally she's got her little garden now in the backyard and stuff like that. And occasionally, go through those magazines and look and stuff. And, she'll call and say, hey, what about this or something? But yeah, it's a great time to really look and start planning ahead.
Yeah.
And the other thing is not just for vegetables, but it's a great time to really think ahead as far as your landscape.
Yeah. So you could do some landscape planning now.
Yeah. The planning part of it, really begins now.
Right.
You can look and see, what stuff did I lose this last year to the excessive drought, or the excessive moisture. Yeah, exactly. And say, I can go in there and I can till it up and add some more organic matter and get some better drainage, or, maybe it's a place that has too much drainage.
Sure.
So, there's things like that can be thought of, or, maybe I just don't want so much turf grass and I just want to put a bigger landscape.
Sure.
And so all that can be done now.
One of the books I noticed that's out now is Sam Cotner's The Vegetable Book. And I know it had been out of print for a long time, but it's back in print.
It's back in print.
And I think Organic Texas Gardening. The magazine Texas Gardening has republished that book, and it's an interesting book. So, and then as you mentioned, I know Tom's written a book about kitchen gardening, and then I think he wrote a book with Bill Adams. Bill Adams on tomatoes. I think. That's pretty good book too. And then I read a book, Teeming with Microbes, which I thought was a really good book by Jeff Lowenfels, I think. And it talks about soil culture, developing a good soil culture. So people may want to get that book. I don't know.
Yeah, that's something to think about. But yeah, now's a great time to think about that and start landscape planning. And there's a lot of things that can be done, and I always kind of giggle because you get people from different parts of the world. I actually talked to an extension agent from Missouri yesterday.
Really?
I call it Missouri, but he says it's not that bad. So we were talking, and I said, "So how things looking up there?" He said, "Kind of brown."
That's a general description.
And that's a lot of times there is a negative kind of appearance. And people think, oh, it's drab. But the good part is, guess what it's not doing? Using any water.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Things that go dormant don't use water.
Well, we were talking about lawns the other day, and lawns are basically dormant right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we get some warm weather occasionally, and the grass might spring back up again.
It might. If temperatures, we get above about that 65-degree mark as far as soil temperature.
Right.
Then yes, it could start to grow again. And grass literally does grow all year round.
Sure.
Our warm season grasses do, because we typically don't go into a deep freeze.
Right.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Occasionally we do. But if you notice, and I always teach, when it comes to turf grasses, greenest to brownest, as far as variety selection.
Sure.
St. Augustine is always greenest the longest. And it stays, about 50 or anywhere from 25 to 50% green during the winter. Yep. And so it still does grow. It's just not vigorous like when it typically gets warm enough above that 65 degrees.
So if it is dry, we have dry weather, maybe people should, if they have automatic sprinkler systems, turn them off and use them manually, turn them on manually to water that green grass if it is.
Yeah, and that even goes for some of the plants too, because you still have some of your evergreen plants that need a drink every now and then.
Sure.
So if we go through a very dry period and it's still cold, they're not growing, but they still do require some water.
Yeah.
But most extremely, established plants will be getting moisture from much deeper, areas in the soil. But, once every 6 to 8 weeks, maybe kick on the sprinkler,
right,
or something like that. Is a good rule of thumb. But in a dry period, and I don't think we could classify ourselves in a dry period.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, I transplanted a little parsley hawthorn, and I put it in really, really good composted soil, and of course it fell over because the soil was so good. Yeah, I should have put a little more clay in there.
A little more clay in it to hold it. Yeah,
yeah. So anyway, what about houseplants, man? My wife's bringing in plants all the time.
I kill them all the time. I forget they're there. And we've had several now at the house, and one of the biggest things is overwatering. And then you get the fungus gnats.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah,
and you'll get them in your drain and all kinds of other things like that, and they're kind of a pain. But yeah, a lot of times it's overwatering, or sometimes a lot of times they don't get enough sun.
And so people put them in the corner somewhere, and they're not.
And once you change their location, they start getting yellow. They drop leaves and start.
And then I noticed something last year when we brought some plants in, that there were insects that had been left over from the warmer times that repopulated when they brought back into the house because it's warmer in the house.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. They said, "Oh, all right. It's the tropics. Let's go."
Yeah. So maybe
exactly.
People, when they bring them in, they should maybe inspect them.
Inspect them, and stay on top of it. Once you notice it up front, then you can spray them down with some soapy water or something like that. If it's flying or crawling insects, kind of get a grip on them quick.
Hey, you talked about watering the house plants. I know my wife went out and bought one of those soil testing, and the soil moisture probe.
Yeah.
And I went up to her and I said, "All you have to do is stick your finger."
The Aggie method: stick your finger, and if it's wet, you're good. Yeah, that is true. So we got time. We have another break coming up right now, and thank you for joining us here at the Extension Hour. We'll return shortly, and we'll be back with you to talk more about some of your winter garden activities.
You're listening to the Extension Hour with Texas A&M AgriLife. Visit us online at montgomery.agrilife.org.
Doing business since 1985, Assistance League of Montgomery County is a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization where all proceeds stay in Montgomery County. We are proud to sponsor 10 philanthropic programs that enhance the lives of those in our community. Visit our thrift shop at 126 North San Jacinto Street in downtown Conroe, or call us at 936-760-1151. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
If you are looking to start a career, you can start your professional life in the U.S. Army. I am Staff Sergeant Stephen Jackson. My fellow soldiers and I can talk with you about learning high-tech skills in electronics and computers as a soldier. Interested in the medical field? The Army has skilled medical and dental jobs that set you up for future success. Come visit us at 2109 West Davis Street, directly behind the Whataburger on Highway 105, or give us a call at 936-756-7002.
An estimated 1 in 10 births will result in a neonatal intensive care stay, also known as the NICU. Overnight, a family can find themselves and their newborn baby in a critical situation. The Mila Foundation financially and spiritually assists families in need. If you would like to volunteer or become a monthly sponsor, please visit us at www.themilafoundation.org. Again, that's www.themilafoundation.org, because every life matters.
You're listening to the Extension Hour on Lone Star Internet Radio every Friday afternoon at 1 p.m.
All right, we're back. I'm here with Bob Daly.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, sir. And we're having a good time here. We're getting excited about going out and gardening.
Yes.
We got sunlight outside.
It's gorgeous.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's time to go do something.
That's right. I agree.
Yeah.
I have to go turn my compost or something.
There you go.
Yeah, get out there.
Yep.
Listen, you were talking about citrus a while ago, and there's a lot of stuff I don't know about citrus, like pruning and watering and all that stuff.
Yeah, in fact, that's some of the articles I was kind of. It's funny. I started writing, and I realized I'm writing for the web.
Yeah.
I got to be careful. Not many people can stare at a screen that long,
right?
Because I can get a little lengthy sometimes. So I said, I really need to break this thing up a little bit, and I started with the selection because I really wanted to highlight what we were going to have, and
sure,
because deep and further south, deeper South Texas, you can grow citrus and it'll maintain leaf structure,
all year.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's not as cold. We're a little colder up here, so it was really important that people realize that we've got some varieties that you can stick in the ground. There's some that are more tender, like key limes and things like that.
Right.
They need to be in pots.
Right. Okay.
And so that was kind of my intent was to kind of say look, here's some good citrus that you can put in the ground, but planting them that's another thing. Proper planting, dig the hole. You got to raise them up, but one of the first things you got to do is really find out if you have good drainage.
Because the roots need to, yeah, okay.
They cannot stay wet. A lot of the issues we were seeing with some of the people bringing in their fruit this year saying, what's wrong with this?
Right.
It's just too much water. And so the root system stayed wet too long, and you get root rot, and you get some other issues.
So raise them up. I mean, don't plant them. Have the crown a little bit above the.
In fact, one of the ways you can test that, you dig kind of like a post hole. Okay. And go down, about 24 inches. Dig a nice little hole, and you fill that hole up. And if you fill with water, and then if that water evacuates and goes away within 24 hours,
right,
you got pretty good drainage. Okay. Now, if it sits there in 48 hours, you can still swim in it.
Right.
You got a problem. That's when you may need to consider doing some kind of raised bed or a raised mound, and bringing that tree up off that area. So you'd have to bring in some soil or something like that.
Sure.
So and that's some of the things kind of get them going. And in fact, to me, that's the selection process as well as the process of planting are the most important aspects of it, and that's for longevity.
Yeah. Somebody once said you don't put a $10 plant in a $1 hole.
A $1 hole, yeah, exactly. Well, and the funny thing is that when I first started in horticulture, I had a horticulture professor tell me that when you dig the hole, you dig it 3 times bigger than the root ball, and you put all this other stuff in it,
right.
and they found out very quickly that that's not the way to do it.
Really?
Yeah, you dig it just barely larger than the root ball, and you of course raise it up a little bit, about an inch above the natural soil line,
right.
And keep it a little higher in the hole, and then you just basically put the soil that you pulled out back in.
So that native soil, you don't have to.
Yeah,
what about fertilizing anything? Like
no, you don't have to do any kind of initial fertilization. That's really not something you want that plant to establish itself in the soil that it's going to be in for the rest of its life.
Right.
Kind of loosen up the root ball and allow some of the roots to kind of hang loose and get directly in the soil that it's going to be in. But yeah, fertilization really doesn't need to take place. One of the things that the people don't allow is that 3 to 5 years is what it takes for a fruit tree to produce. Okay. Yeah. In fact, an initial establishment, you should allow that fruit tree not to produce for the first couple of years so it can focus on root development.
Okay. And so if they have like flowers or little, you just take them off?
Yeah, you can let them actually, start a little, a fruit of some type, whatever, lemon, lime, or whatever else, but just take them off. I always say the first year, take everything off. The second year, okay, leave yourself one.
Right.
But what people don't realize is that fruit trees they're what they call alternate bearing.
Okay.
They have a good year and a bad year.
Okay.
They produce alternate. And so when you have a real heavy year, what happens is that there's so much nutrient and water and everything that flows in to produce those fruit that the next year the tree is like weak.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's weak, and it's a weakened state because it used so much of so many nutrients and everything else that it just deplenished the whole deal. And so it stressed the tree out. And so the tree decides the second year, I can't produce that much this year. And so there's some things that pruning actually does to help get rid of that.
And how would you do that?
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the things I answered in that column, because that's what a lot of people want to know. When do I prune? Well, you can do general pruning anytime as long as it's real small,
Sure.
Dead limbs or damaged limbs or something like that, or branches. That can be done anytime. But to actually prune and control growth of the tree is a different thing.
Okay. How would I do that?
And so what you do, and typically when you buy a citrus tree, it comes already trimmed. And it already has the branching, and it's been trimmed properly from the beginning. And so what tends to happen if you let it go and you don't do anything to it, it tends to get too thick in the middle.
Okay.
Too many leaves, too many branches. Then you start having dieback in the middle because there's no sunlight penetration and things like that. Then the other thing you have is the elasticitrus.
What is that?
You have elastic citrus tree because you have long branches that form fruit. And the next thing you know, this 2 or 3 or 4 lemons on the end of this branch have taken that branch and put it all the way to the ground. So it'll break. That's something that'll happen is they'll break. And the only reason really to trim fruit tree, you're supposed to let them kind of grow. But one of the good reasons or things that we should do is do it to control the height.
Okay, so you can pick them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want everybody to get on a ladder and start picking, 15 foot. And a tree gets, 12, 15 foot tall. You have to get up on a ladder or wait till they fall. And by that time, sometimes they're already damaged.
Right.
So, having that ability to keep those trees lower growing is very beneficial. And if you ever, my parents have a Myers lemon at their house, and they were it was a little too close to the driveway. They didn't plant it there, but somebody else did. And I basically made marks on the tree, and I told my mom, I said, cut here, here, and here. She said, well, it's going to kill it. I said, no, it's not. I said, number one, but don't expect any fruit this next year.
Okay.
Because if you do too severe a pruning, that's what happens. So the timing is important too. When you do minor trimming, you can do it just about any time. But when it comes to, you're going to trim it back to kind of control the height, then you need to drop off about 2 feet off that tree. The best time to do it is after the fruit is produced and before bloom.
Okay, so basically wintertime.
But, February. Yeah, that's a good time. So that's an important time frame to do that. And when you trim those trees, I've got a picture that one of our master gardeners sent us. It's an 8-year-old Owari Satsuma that's only about 5 foot, 6 foot tall.
Really?
8 years old.
And it's probably producing really well.
Yes, it's producing very well. So, and that's the thing. Keep them shorter. That way you can get to them easier. Sometimes critters will get to them too, but that's part of the way it is, But the production, when you do those types of trimmings, and what they actually tell you is that to do them every other year.
Okay.
And what you do is you find out, okay, we know that this year was a good year. Okay. So you do it on the good years and not the in-between years.
So if mine produced this year, I would trim it in February. I would prune it in February. Okay.
And that'll help even the citrus out. It'll start kind of producing a little bit more regular in a sense. The quantity and everything will be about the same. It won't overproduce. The other thing that has been discussed, and there's a little bit of research about it, but about kind of thinning the fruit out. You could take, and thin some of the fruit off the tree, and then kind of like you do with peaches.
And then that would make the other fruit larger, and
it won't stress the tree out so much.
I see.
And that's just one of the things is that stress from producing that many fruit just puts added stress on it, and then it kind of, that's why it has a hiccup year.
Right.
So,
right.
And I mean, I've seen years where trees will go 2 years in a row, and because they're under a lot of stress. Situations where people plant them in low light conditions or underneath an eave of a house
where they get too much water and whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
No sun.
Yeah, so it's important to plant them out in full sun, and trim them the way you need.
Over in one of the community gardens, we planted a Texas Republic orange several years ago, and it did okay. But there's some really nice new varieties out there, I think, that are doing much better. That's
Yeah, the old Republic of Texas, that's an old one. I mean, that's the Republic of Texas orange is an old one. We typically carry that one too because it's so good. It's real seedy.
It's seedy, but it's a tasty
but it's a good, tasty orange. Yeah. If it's something you like to eat outside, you can always spit the seeds out.
That's right.
Kind of like a watermelon.
Yeah, that's right.
But the Owari, the Satsuma, those are great.
Yeah.
So there's a good variety there, and they've got a few other ones that are out there. There's one that was tested at, I want to say it was like Frost or Orange Frost or something. They gave it to us as a test plant, and I planted it, and I think Tom got one too, and he after 1 year he said no. He ripped it up and threw it away. It doesn't go well here, so we always test them and find out where they grow well, and one of the things every year I go to the horticulture. We have a little conference, and it's all the agents from across the state and the specialists and everything, and they give us a whole bunch of plants to test.
Ah, okay.
And so that's always a good opportunity, bring in stuff that, is growing somewhere else and then find out, hey, it grows here too, And that's kind of how some of that Earthkind plant list works.
Well, about 3 years ago, we had A&M sent in some clumping dwarf bamboo, and I took a test. I took one of the plants and planted it. It's done really well. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of things like that. We've got alyssum that one of the agents said, hey, this is the best one that we've seen yet, and everything. And I was skeptical because alyssum typically just is done.
That's right. Yeah,
and it gets too hot, it's just done. Well, this sucker lasted, and not only that, it withstood the drought, and it was in a pot.
Whoa!
and it didn't. In my house, it doesn't get watered. Sometimes,
well, so I got to get one of those. Yeah,
and it hung around, and I had it for 2 years.
So that variety is on Earthkind. I can find it.
I think that's an actual new production. Out of San Antonio is where I think that one came out of. But I think I can't remember right offhand what the name of it is.
Yeah,
there's so many plant names. Sometimes they get jumbled up.
God, I can't follow them.
Yeah,
talking about citrus too. Maybe we could talk. I know we have to get a break, but maybe we could talk about things like citrus diseases.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes.
When we come back.
Yeah, definitely can.
Because I have a lot of questions about that.
There's some new stuff out there we got to be aware of and got to think about too. So it's one of those deals. Well, thank you for joining us here at the AgriLife Extension Hour, and we'll be back after these messages, and we'll see you shortly. We'll talk a little bit more about citrus.
You are listening to the Extension Hour on irlonestar.com.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645-6344 to talk to a volunteer attorney from the Woodlands Bar Association. We answer the phones on the first Monday of every month at 281-645-6344 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to provide general legal information and information about legal resources to Montgomery County residents. Hi, this is BJ Orner from Montgomery County Performing Arts Society. I'm here to remind you to get your tickets now for all the upcoming events that McPass has to offer. All shows will be held at the beautiful Crichton Theater in downtown Conroe. Call 936-441 7469 for your tickets today, or go to our website, www.macpass.org, for more information. Hope to see you at the show.
You're listening to the Extension Hour with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. Visit us online at montgomery.agrilife.org.
Welcome back to the Extension Hour. I'm here with Bob Daly.
Hi, Mike.
How you doing?
Good.
I'm Michael Potter. I'm the County Extension Agent for Horticulture here in Montgomery County. And we're just talking a little bit about everything, kind of winter chores and things that are going on. And we've been talking about citrus for a while.
Yeah, I've been getting people bring me in these leaves, these citrus leaves, and they're all crinkly. And I say, well, you got leaf miners, but there are a lot of other diseases out there, I think, that are problems with citrus, particularly.
Yeah,
tell us about that.
Yeah, there's two things in particular that have been kind of I would say like kind of an emergency alert, because that's what it ends up being. You've got citrus canker, which is the newest one, and it's a disease that's basically just ruins the tree.
And it'll get in the bark.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It'll get in the bark, and it totally disrupts the flow of nutrients, water, everything, and it'll kill the tree. There was some plants that were discovered down in the valley at first, and there are other places, but in Texas it hasn't been here. But it kind of started in one spot, and the next thing you know, they found some in Harris County, and they found them right over here on the county line of Fort Bend. So now we got this. And they kind of saw a pattern too, where they found these trees and everything. It was kind of like a downwind pattern. It was kind of weird.
Is it a fungal infection?
It's bacterial. It's more of it's spread through insects and then also wounding. So that's why pruning, cleaning your pruners and important and things like that. Some plants actually just, they already have it when they're purchased because of how new it is. So you got to kind of watch your stuff. If you start getting these big black growths or galls or things that your bark starts splitting and things like that, it's something to be concerned about. Luckily, right now we don't have anything in Montgomery County, which is good.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yes. And we're not under quarantine for it, but still there is a quarantine for the movement of citrus you can go to Fort Bend, Harris, and Montgomery County, which they're probably going to change that real soon because of bacterial canker. But the other problem was what they call Huang Long Bing.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. And the reason why I took a course, it was a whole summer course when I was doing my master's with the guy that was actually experimenting with it and everything else. And it's called citrus greening.
Okay.
And that's something we're on quarantine for.
Well, don't you want your citrus trees to be green?
Green, right? Yeah, exactly. This is like a mottled green in the leaves. It can be the problem is, and I don't want to cause panic because right now everybody's going, oh wait, I see one of those leaves.
Right, sure.
This is something very, very different, and it'll overtake the whole tree. And so you'll have this mottled green and yellow, on leaves that will take the whole tree, and you'll have a very stunted growth. And there's some other things involved in it, and that's what initiated the quarantine. And basically, it was stopping the movement of trees,
and that's bacterial as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that one's a psyllid, an insect that actually transmits and puts it into the plants. And so you just got to be careful.
Sure.
And there's information out there through USDA, through Texas Department of Agriculture, and through A&M that we have information about these types of things that are out there. Or if you can call the extension office at the 936-539-7824. We can get you publications and give you information on it. A lot of times I get people come in and they'll say, I've got citrus greening.
Right.
And they bring me one leaf,
Yeah, right.
It's like, yeah, that one's not green. Right. It looks like citrus yellowing.
So that there's no solution for either one of those diseases.
Yeah, the bacterial canker, no. What they're doing right now is they're actually destroying, and USDA, the federal USDA has gotten involved in that. And what they'd actually do is they'll go house to house.
Really?
And if they take samples and everything else, that they find infected trees, they destroy them immediately.
And so you wouldn't want to put something like that in your compost, or your green waste. You want to put it
They actually
stored away.
Yeah, and the whole thing is if you suspect, and my advice to people is to go look at the symptoms. Mm-hmm. Sometimes symptoms take a while.
Sure.
To come out, but you can pretty much find anything on Google nowadays,
right?
And the photos, the images that are there, and you can see. Come to the extension office, bring us some pictures, some good pictures, some photos, or even a branch or something.
Sure.
Give us some idea, but don't just assume that that's what it is.
Right.
Bacterial canker. Right now there hasn't been any confirmed cases in Montgomery County. It's South Harris County. And so we're looking, that area. The citrus greening, a different thing. Mm-hmm. It's very distinct in its appearance and things like that. So just have us look at it. Don't mistake nutrient issues, especially this time of year.
Yeah. What about the leaf miners? I mean, I get tons of that every.
Oh yeah, and there's no, it's one of those things you can do something about it, but it's typically just superficial.
It's not going to harm the tree.
Yeah, it's not going to harm the tree. There are times where maybe it gets excessive.
Right.
And if it starts taking a whole large portion of the tree, there's products to use, but timing is of the utmost importance.
Right.
You have to do it when it's early. A lot of people.
Once that larva is in this leaf, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and basically that larva just gets right up underneath that waxy coating and goes right up underneath and goes around about and creates its own, speedway in there. And then you see it later. So,
man, I'm looking forward to this plant sale because I want to go look at those all the citrus.
Yeah. Oh, and they are good too. Whenever we get citrus, they are beautiful. They really are.
I know my Meyer lemon came from there, and it's really really nice.
In fact, that week before on the 19th, we're actually going to do a Saturday morning a class, a 3-hour class from 9 to 11. 9 to 12. Excuse me.
9 to 12.
Yeah. And we're gonna have basically talk about some of the fruit and the citrus and things like that, and how to manage and care for them, and do a little class.
What's that date again?
The 19th, January 19th.
January 19th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 9 to noon.
And are you making that presentation?
I believe I am right now.
Great. Okay.
It's still up in the air on the January, the
plant
plant sale one, but I'm trying to get Tom to come over and maybe do it.
Okay.
I sent him an email. I know he's out of town, and I sent him an email. Hopefully he'll be able to do the January plant sale the day of for me. It's one of those things. I got to go to a conference, so
I understand that.
Yep. But we've had a good, we've our plant sales. We try to get in what is good for our area.
Right.
We don't want to sell you a plant that's not appropriate. So,
right. Boy, it's been good talking to you.
It's been good
Mike.
talking to you. I'm glad to see you, and I know you had a good vacation. So
did, yeah.
Yep.
Davis Mountains.
There you go. I love it. I'm Michael Potter. I'm County Exchange Agent for Horticulture. If you ever need anything, please give us a call, 936-539-7824. I'm here with Bob Daly today. Thank you, Bob, for being here, and I appreciate it as usual.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today on the AgriLife Extension Hour. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for checking out this production on Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's radio station. For more information on this show and other shows on Lone Star, check us out online at irlonestar.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a program on Lone Star Community Radio and reaching the local audience of Montgomery County on FM, internet, and TV media, please call 936-647-5747 or contact us online at irlonestar.com. This recording is a Lone Star Community Radio production, produced by the show host and Dick Schissler of Lone Star Community Radio. Interested in volunteering as a music DJ or starting your own talk show? Contact Dick Schissler at dick@irlonestar.com or by phone at 936-647-5747.